Welcome back. Bovine respiratory disease, or BRD, is among the most costly health problems in the cattle feeding industry. Outbreaks of this disease rob producers of billions of dollars each year. The cost of managing and treating BRD in cattle is a significant concern for cattle feeders like Matt and Dan Vogel, whose family has been feeding cattle in Montana's Yellowstone Valley for more than 3 generations. The Vogels understand firsthand the importance of managing this costly disease. Cattleman and Cattleman reporter Matt Fleck has more.
My grandfather, he started feeding cattle back in the 1950s, was one of the first feedlots in the Yellowstone Valley to feed cattle year-round. And then over the decades, my grandpa, father, and uncle have built on at added capacity. Currently, we're about 6,500 head capacity. In the fall, we usually feed a few thousand head of yearlings and then start getting some calves in. And then as they go out in December through February, we'll bring in more calves and feed them through the summer.
The Vogels take pride in their work, and they recognize the advantage of feeding high-quality animals. And although they source many cattle from nearby ranches, they also purchase loads of cattle from sale barns across the region.
When the cattle come in, the cattle are taken processed as soon as possible, and as we get them worked, we do buy quality cattle and make sure that the health is taken care of as soon as possible, and they're vaccinated shortly after arrival, and then the cattle are checked in the pens on a daily basis and make sure that the health stays good on the cattle. The vaccination part of the program is very important.
Prevention and rapid treatment of BRD is critical for cattle feeders like the Vogels.
Controlling BRD is a difficult problem, as everybody knows, in the feedlot industry and the cattle industry as a whole. It's our #1 health issue, and primarily because we have so many different backgrounds that cattle come from and the way they're prepared to come to a feed yard. So it takes a management strategy primarily on receiving cattle that's flexible, trying to find out as much about the cattle and their prior history so that they know whether they need to repeat vaccinations, whether they've had any vaccinations before, whether or not they've been weaned, all these kind of factors that play into their immune status.
BRD is caused by stress associated with shipping and the spread of bacterial and viral pathogens between commingled cattle. As a result, identifying the symptoms of BRD and treating outbreaks quickly are critical.
The control of BRD at the feed yard level is aimed at #1, prevention, and #2 at treatment. And so cattle especially that are evaluated as being high risk, that is, they've been hauled a long way, they've been commingled through livestock marketing channels, bad weather, just been weaned, all those kind of things put cattle at higher risk. And so those cattle very often are treated metaphylactically with usually a long-acting antibiotic like Zuprevo to help limit the amount of sickness that they're going to initially see. Following that, then it's a matter of having the management system in place with pen riders to be going through cattle often enough to be able to spot them at the first signs of respiratory disease, get those cattle pulled and treated appropriately.
Well, the signs to look for to find the BRD in your cattle, look for, their heads down, the droopy ears, snotty noses. They'll have sometimes they'll be kind of drooly, having fluid from the lungs coming back up. When they first arrive, a lot of times you can really tell if you've got the calf standing at the back of the pen and everybody else has come up to the feed bunk. That's a real good sign. Look for cattle that are a little lethargic.
Cow-calf producers can help reduce the prevalence of BRD outbreaks by weaning and preconditioning calves prior to sale. Although the Vogels attempt to source cattle of known origin, it's not always possible. Dan Vogel knows from experience that certain classes of cattle come with animal health risks.
You take ranch calves that come in walking and bawling that have not been pre-vaccinated, we'll treat right around 15 to 20% of those cattle. You take yard cattle that come in that have been exposed to everything, those cattle, you're going to treat anywhere from 15 to 30% of those cattle. Is just numbers that have come around with years and years of experience.
Welcome back. Let's return to Montana and reporter Matt Fleck with more about the Vogel family and their effort to fight BRD.
Because the health status of calves isn't always known, cattle feeders need an effective treatment option for dealing with BRD outbreaks. Zuprevo tildopyrosin, a product from Merck Animal Health, is the newest macrolide available for the treatment and control of BRD. Zuprevo can also be used to treat cattle upon arrival to help prevent outbreaks before they occur.
Bactericidal and bacteriostatic are properties of antibiotics that relate to how quickly they kill bacteria. Bacteriostatic means that it slows the growth, and so the animal has a chance to get on top of the infection that way. Bactericidal means that it actually kills the bacteria, and so Zuprevo has both of those properties and just adds to its effectiveness really in being a fast-acting antibiotic and helping get the cattle back on their feet more quickly.
Zuprevo is an antibiotic for rapid and sustained control of BRD. This rapid control helps to get cattle back on feed faster. Those characteristics have made Zuprevo a top choice of cattle feeders.
When we find our BRD cattle, we'll treat them with the Zuprevo, and we send them anymore. I've been sending them right back to their home pen. And first did that this winter. We sent them home, and the next day we'd ride back through, and those cattle, they'd be up at the bunk eating, where the day before they were at the bottom end of the pen, and you could just see a vast improvement in them and seemed to do real well.
Fast identification and treatment is a key to effectively limiting the impact of BRD. After sick cattle are identified and pulled for treatment, Zuprevo goes to work quickly, limiting the spread of pathogens and the damage they can cause.
The important properties of an antibiotic in treating respiratory disease are how quickly they're absorbed, how soon they reach the critical levels where they'll stop bacterial growth, and then how long a duration that they're active for. And so this is a good example where Zuprevo really has a unique spot in the market in that it has all of those properties. Very quickly absorbed, reaches effective levels in the lung within an hour to 4 hours, and so it really stands alone in that regard.
The ease of use is another important consideration when selecting a product for BRD treatment. Zuprevo, with its simple-to-follow dosing calculation and easy syringeability in nearly all weather conditions, helps producers ensure they're dosing animals properly. This translates into lower costs, reduced labor, and ultimately increased profitability.
Dosing compliance with antibiotics is critical because if we're say estimating the body weight of cattle, or we're rounding up the dose volume that's required, then we're tending to either underdose or overdose. Underdosing, of course, is going to give us a lower efficacy, a lower success rate in treatment. Overdosing is expensive, and so we don't want to be on either side of that. So the more accurate we can be in that dosing level, the better it is for animal and owners.
Zuprevo has been well received by animal health professionals across the country. The ease of use and bactericidal action of Zuprevo make it a top choice among feedlot managers.
Zuprevo has been really exciting out in the field. The producers that I've talked to that have used it, both from a treatment perspective as well as a metaphylaxis perspective, have actually been very positive. From a treatment perspective, they're actually seeing quicker responses. And then from a metaphylaxis perspective, we're actually seeing the product work in a more consistent and a longer time frame, so they're having a lot less repulls out in the feed yard.
Because cattle treated with Zuprevo are spending less time in the sick pen suffering from BRD and more time at the feed bunk, they're helping producers' bottom line. Zuprevo is just one of many animal health solutions offered by Merck Animal Health. Those solutions also extend to technical expertise and a variety of easily accessible resources.
You know, we ride through the cattle every day looking for the respiratories, And when we pull, our first line of defense now is we use the Zuprevo.
Reporting from Vogel Feeders in Ballantine, Montana, I'm Matt Flack for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
For more information on Zuprevo and other available products from Merck Animal Health, visit usa.zuprevo.com, or you can visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org.